What's good, everybody? It's your boy Zoetic, and in this video, we're gonna do a little album breakdown for the new album that I just released called Name Your Price, out everywhere now. So let's go ahead and get into the album. I just wanted to do this video to kind of just elaborate and explain a little bit deeper the concept of this album and the story that I'm telling here. This album is a concept album, as all of my albums are. Some of them are just a little bit looser than the other ones, but this one is pretty tight to the theme and the concept. You know, I definitely wanted to get a little bit more creative with the way that I put together albums. I feel like in the past, I've kind of leaned a little bit too heavy on audio clips, you know, whether from movies, from TV shows, from wherever I could find audio clips. I was always taking things and inserting them into the album to kind of just further push the story a little bit. With this album, I just wanted to get a little bit more creative with the storytelling. So when it came to the skits and the other things that I was using outside of the music to push the story along, I just wanted to get a little bit more creative with it. So I came up with this idea to base this album around a game show, right? And the game show, it's going to be kind of silly, it's going to kind of be a little quirky, but I still wanted it to be metaphorical for the things that artists might feel and might go through when they're trying to navigate in this business. It's really hard to do, so I just wanted to come up with a creative way to convey that message. So starting off with the first track, it's called Take Off. This was the first single for the album. And the reason I made it the first single was because I really just wanted to give each section of the album a little preview to what it's going to be about. You know, I broke this album up into 3 acts. I kind of just approached it like a movie. I feel like that's kind of the easiest way to tell a story from beginning to end. You know, so I really took sections of the album to really convey different feelings and different emotions that this main character is going through. So the first track, Take Off, this song is really hopeful. It's very optimistic. I think the main character is feeling like they've reached a point where success is close, and success is closer than it's ever been. And I think this song does a really good job of kind of just showing that optimism and really showing that the main character is kind of naive almost. He's really approaching things with a super positive mentality, and as the album goes along a little further, you see that kind of just he loses it just a little bit more as the album gets further on. So that leads us to track number 2, called Burnin'. And in this song, the main character is starting to see some of the evils and some of the dark things that life has to throw at him. And he's just lost a little bit of that hopefulness that he was displaying in the first track. And so that's what leads us into the first skit of the album, which comes at the end of this track. This is where I introduce the character Bob Banks, who is essentially the character who's on the cover of the album. You know, this guy really, I think he represents the darkness of this album very well, because sometimes darkness doesn't always come to you in a dark package, right? I mean, sometimes it comes to you in the form of the things that you want and the things that you desire and the things that you feel like you deserve. And I feel like that character and just the delivery of the voice, the way he's talking, the speed and everything that he's saying, I feel like it represents that really well. We also introduced the main character, Ike, who is essentially me. And it's just a kind of cool introduction to the concept of this album. You know, the Bob Banks, he says in the skit, this is the game that tries to buy your morals and integrity. And you know, it's definitely heavy-handed and tongue-in-cheek, but it's also, I think, very just representative of exactly how darkness comes to you. So leading into the third track, this is called So Essential. And for this section of the album, the next about 4 songs from here on out are really The main character just reminiscing on his life, the way that he grew up, the things that he's seen, the morals and integrity and values that he's been raised with. That's really what I was trying to show on these next few tracks here. So Essential is pretty much just a song about the way I grew up and the way kind of people in my neighborhood and people who I grew up around. There's just the things that we get into when we're young and growing up and learning things. And that's kind of still also a little bit more of a hopeful track. You know, it's kind of on the happier side, I would say. Which leads us into track number 4, titled Make It Home. This track is kind of more of the same, a little bit more optimism. You know, the main character is really kind of just reminding himself what's important to him. You know, all of the fame and the fortune and the money and whatever the case may be, all of that stuff really doesn't matter. All that really matters is making it home to your family, making it home to your people who care about you, and just kind of showing up for them, basically. That's kind of what this song is all about. Like I said, still a little bit more on the happier side, a little bit more on the hopeful side, which leads us into track number 5, titled Let It Go. Now here is where the darkness really kind of starts poking at the main character, or he at least starts revealing things in his life that have been maybe a little traumatic, just things that make him look at life a little bit different. This track in particular is dealing with addiction and the things that come with it. I thought this was a really creative track because in all 3 different verses, I used 3 different voices. And the reason I did that is because I really wanted to convey the different sides that this character has going on inside his mind, you know? And I feel like everybody has 2 sides to some degree, right? You know, you have a side that's accountable, responsible, kind of sees what's going on, sees the problem, knows what needs to be done about it. And you also have this other side that is just kind of in a place where hopelessness has taken over their decision making, and now the choices that they make are motivated in just hopeless, just not feeling like they're in a good space or in a good place, in a good mental place. And that's kind of what I think that song really conveys well. The production on that song I think is very interesting. It's unlike anything we've ever done before. Icy Beats kind of went in and did some things to the original beat to turn it into this one, and we both just agreed that the feeling, the vibe was just, it just kind of emphasized the emotions in the song a little bit more. Albeit, like I said, it's a sound that we've never done before, we've never tried, we've never really even attempted. I think this album has Icy Beats' most ambitious production. Like I said, we're trying new things here. We're really pushing the envelope of things that we've done before, because that's just the type of artist that I am. You know, I never want to do the same thing twice. I don't want to do the same things over and over. I'm inspired by artists who are able to do something incredible and then completely make a 180 and do something different on the next record. So that's kind of where the motivation for that decision came from, and I think it really paid off. So next we have track 6. This is called Story to Tell. This song right here is, again, just a little bit more reminiscing, the character doing some self-reflection, things that he's experienced, things that he's seen, things that he's been told, people that he's you know, been cool with and grew up with. It's just a cool storytelling record. The beat is insane, very simple, but it just grabs your ears, it grabs your attention, and it keeps you. I love the energy of this record so much. And again, this is just the main character telling his story, essentially, you know, things that he's seen, things that he's been through that's made him who he is. And so that leads to the next track, Gifted, which I would say right here, this is Act 2. This is where Act 2 begins, and this is where the darkness completely starts taking over the main character, and he's kind of just in a place of anger, frustration, resentful. He's kind of, you know, he's looking at everybody else like, man, I know I'm better than everybody else here, but for some reason I just haven't had the same opportunities as them. And I think this track really displays that well, while also being fun and having some catchy flows and just giving some good bars and showing some skills. I feel like that was something that I wanted to do on this album. Was I just wanted to display a variety of my skills. And of course, when you're an MC and you do the type of rapping that we do, you want to have moments where you just show those lyrical skills off. And, you know, we've been doing this for a long time. So to be able to do tracks like this and seamlessly fit them into the album, I think that's the true skill right there. At the end of this track here of Gifted, we have another small skit. Here we have essentially the devil is speaking to the main character, and he tells him, hey, look, man, I know this is a hard decision to make, but let me show you what things could really be like. And so that takes us into track 8, Paganini, which to me, this is the track that I kind of centered the entire album around. You know, this is the culmination of the main character finally giving in to that hopelessness, to that frustration, to that resentfulness, and he makes the deal, and he gets a preview of what he can do under this guise. And so this track right here is really just the main character indulging in all of the dark, evil, you know, just darkness. He's really engulfed himself in the darkness, and he's become what he thinks he can be. I do that by displaying, again, like I said, you know, skills. When it comes to skills, you know, flows, lyrics, you know, delivery, metaphors, word schemes, wordplay, like all of these things I feel like are represented in this song right here. And I chose Paganini as the reference, and you know, just in case anybody hasn't heard about him, I was introduced to Paganini when I was a freshman in college. I took a music class, and our teacher taught us about a I think 17th century violinist from Italy named Nicola Paganini. And he was so skilled that everybody rumored that he had made a deal with the devil, that he sold his soul to the devil, and that's why he was so skilled at what he did. I think it was rumored that he could play 12 notes at one time. So I take that idea and I take that reference and I try to apply it to a hip-hop lens, right? And so that's why the flows that I'm displaying specifically on that second verse and the wordplay and even the lyrics are really just encapsulating what I feel like it would sound like if a rapper sold his soul to the devil, right? And even something else that I kind of had in mind as influence for this song is The Devil Went Down to Georgia, right? That's a famous, I don't know if it's rock or country, but essentially the topic or theme of the song is the devil is battling this guy on a violin, right? And I felt like that was just a clever reference to, you know, Paganini. He's a violinist. They said he was, you know, sold his soul to the devil. The devil went down to Georgia. He's battling this guy with a violin. I just felt like it all came together to make a really smart reference for the whole theme of this album, basically. You know, the theme of the album is, will you sell your soul to the devil? You know, basically. So I really feel like this track did a really good job of representing not just that idea, but the whole concept of the album. It's definitely one of my favorites. That leads us to track 9, titled Lord Willin', featuring Tony Toe Tags. And again, skill, flow, wordplay, lyrics. This is really, really the main things that I was trying to display, particularly on this section of songs right here. I really feel like myself and Tony Toe Tags did a great job of just displaying our skills, but also keeping with the theme of the album, right? We just came off of Paganini, we're talking about the devil, selling your soul to the devil, evil, darkness, and then we get into the song Lord Willin'. So I just really feel like I made great references to stay on topic, stay on subject, stay on concept with this entire album. You know, every song leads into the idea and the story that I'm presenting here with this album. So that leads us into track 10, titled Anything. And this is where the main character just kind of reflects back on the position that he's in and what he's gone through to get there, the things that he's been through, you know, as far as like being broke and coming up in poverty and coming up around, you know, the wrong neighborhoods, the wrong environments that don't always breed and nurture talent and people to act on those talents. And in this song, the main character is really just displaying like, having nothing gave me everything, right? To quote Ka, rest in peace, one of my favorite rappers of all time. That's kind of really the theme of this song right here, and the main character just realizing how far he's come. So then that leads us into track 11, titled Everything, and this is kind of the end of Act 2. This is the main character really expressing how much this means to him and everything that he's dedicated to his craft, to getting better, to being the best, to putting himself in a position to be the best. I really feel like this song displays the dedication of what this character is bringing to this. You know, this is his everything, and he can't really speak for anybody else, but he knows that he's dedicated his life to this. And so that leads us to the final skit of the album, where we're taken back to the game show, and Bob Banks finally asks the main character, is he ready to name his price and essentially sell his soul? And this is where the main character reflects on all of the stuff that we've presented here at the first 11 tracks, which is a lot of stuff, a lot of story, a lot of character, a lot of foundation to what this person is. And he finally realizes, man, that this isn't worth it. Everything that he thinks he wants is not worth the price that it takes to get it. He's gotten so far that, yeah, maybe he's not in the highest position, but he's in a position that he could be proud of. And he's in a position that's very accomplished. And I think he's finally come to the realization that he doesn't have to compare himself to anybody else to feel accomplished, to feel fulfilled. And I really think that this skit does a good job of that, while also throwing some comedy in there. You know, I threw some, some stuff, the crowd booing and yelling, "You suck" at him and stuff like that. Like, that's how that moment can feel. And I was just really happy with how that came out, and just the sound design and everything that went into it, man. I really feel like we knocked that out of the park. And that really, really drove home the point that this character has too much integrity to do that type of thing. So that leads us into track 12, which is the rest of the album. Here is Act 3. This is redemption. This is the character having that moment of realization that, man, you know what? My life is good. Things could be better. I could have did things different, whatever the case may be, but things are cool right now. So that's when we get into the track titled Breathe for me. And this track, to me, in my perspective, this is the peak of the album. This is the moment where the main character just finally has that breakthrough and finally realizes, like, man, I would be nothing without the people who have motivated me and been there for me whenever I needed them. So that's kind of what this track really displays the best. Originally, we had a different beat for this. It was kind of more like a Just Blaze, Rockefeller type of feel. But Icy decided that he felt like the lyrics were conveying an emotion that the production needed to match. So he went in. Initially, it started with me just asking him for some piano stuff at the end, and he went in and gave me a whole orchestral arrangement. Basically, he went in, put keys, strings, horns, percussion. He just really went in and customized the production to everything that I was saying. And when we finally got done with it, we took a step back and we listened to it, and we had a moment where we looked at each other and we said, man, this is fucking perfect. And this is exactly what the lyrics needed as far as emotion goes. Just the way that he put it together, the way that he designed it and arranged it. The drums come in at the second verse, and just, I really, really feel like it emphasizes all of the emotions that I was really trying to convey here, and this is one of my favorite tracks on the album. That leads us into track number 13, titled Name Your Price. This is the title song of the album. I really just wanted to document my whole journey from a literal standpoint. I feel like a lot of the album thus far has been metaphorical and symbolic, and I'm not really speaking directly to what's going on. So finally I get to this moment where this is the first time in my career where I've documented my entire journey from beginning to where I am now. I was really inspired to do this by my boy Tony Toe Tags. He has a song that I don't think it's not released yet, But he recorded a song a while back where he's kind of just detailing his story, how he got started, where he's done, what he's accomplished, where he's at now, how he's feeling. And I was just kind of inspired by that and influenced by that. And I had never done anything like that before. So that's really where I just took 48 bars and I divided the story up into 3 different sections of my career, how I started, where it's been, where I am now. This is just a special track, you know. If you want to know the inside story of everything that I've been through, you know, when it comes to making music, the struggles, the highs, the lows, everything is in that track, and I'm super, super proud of it. So that leads us to track number 14, the last track on the album. This is called Blue Skies. And this track is interesting because this character has been through a lot, been through so much. He's had a lot of realizations as he's, you know, been on this story. And he still has a little bit of hopefulness. You know, that little optimism that was there on Takeoff is still there on Blue Skies. It's just a little more jaded now, right? It's kind of cautiously optimistic now. It's kind of like, hey, I hope I get better. I hope I get to a higher place. I hope we can strive for more things. But if I don't, I'm cool. And to me, that kind of is the main theme of the album, is no matter how better you think things can be or how bad you think things are okay. You know, things are not terrible. And at the end of the day, if you take some time to reflect on all the things that you've been through and all the things that you fought through, you'll have a moment of pride. You know, I think this is the moment where he kind of just lists all of the things. You know, he says, yeah, I've been through this, I've been through that, got my ass kicked, got knocked down, but you know what? I got up every single time, and I'm gonna do it every single time. And I just really love the wordplay that I used here. I feel like my skill and my lyrics were really came together on this song right here. It really conveyed an emotion of hopeful, cautious optimism. I really love this album so much. Put a lot of time, a lot of effort, a lot of resources into this, and I think it really shows itself. This is easily my best album, easily my best put together album. Just feel like in the past I have leaned on some things a little bit too much, and for this album I really just wanted the music to speak for itself. I wanted the skill to speak for itself. I really wanted to make the best combination of songwriting and skill that I could possibly do, and I think I did a really good job of that. This is the final chapter to what this universe is that I was building. You know, it starts with Talk is Cheap, you know, times like these, my time ain't mine, there's a lot going on, and now Name Your Price. There's an overarching story that's being told with all of these albums. That's the kind of storytelling that I like the most and that I am influenced by the most. I think when you listen to these albums all back to back to back, you really get the same themes and concepts and narratives, right? I mean, the same things that I'm addressing on Talk is Cheap, I'm addressing here on Name Your Price as well, but it's just from a more mature, it's from a perspective that's just, it's grown more and grown a lot and has able to kick away those immature habits that I was displaying on the first couple of albums and really hone in and be a mature, really grown type of perspective here by the time we get to the 5th album. And like I said, all of my albums have concepts, some of them looser than others, you know, as far as the group projects and, you know, Deuce is Wild, the R&B projects, the mixtapes, you know, those are all still under this umbrella. They're just a little bit looser when it comes to the concept. But if you listen to those projects, you're still going to get hints and signs of the ideas that I've brought here to this universe. I really hope one day somebody goes back and does the research and digs deep and really listens hard to all of this music and all of the ideas that I'm presenting here, because not to sound arrogant or anything, but I don't think anybody in hip hop has ever done the type of things that we're doing here. As far as storytelling and just universe building, world building, I don't really think anybody else is doing it like this. I just want to thank everybody for your support. It's really meant a lot to me. The feedback and response for this album has been kind of overwhelming. I wasn't expecting this much love for the album. We're creeping up on 1,000 monthly listeners on Spotify, which is the most I've ever had in my life. So I'm just really, really thankful and really grateful that the time we took to make this album, 3 years it took to make this album, I think it really is paying off, and it's really culminating, and you can hear the work and the time and the effort that we put into this, and I'm just super, super happy with it. So I want to say thank you to everybody out there who's supporting it and who has been supporting me for the past 10 years now. I want to shout out my 5D affiliates, my boys, my dogs, my brothers. Love y'all so much. Thank y'all for everything over the years. Keep running up this album and keep running up the whole catalog, man, because this is timeless music. I want people to listen to this 20, 30, 40 years from now and still take away the ideas that I'm presenting here, because I really feel like I made something timeless here, something that could be played at any era in time and make sense and jam and people will still resonate with. So thank you guys again. Please follow me on my socials if you haven't, at Zoetic5D. The website is fifthdimensionlc.weebly.com. Thank y'all so much. Talk to y'all next time. Peace.